Vladimir Putin thought the U.S. was weak. He thought the collapsing dollar meant America was finished. But what he didn't realize, what he just found out, is that the collapse was the trap. And now the trap is snapping shut because President Trump, yes, the current president of the United States, isn't just sitting behind a desk. He's playing global chess with nuclear players. And while the dollar dipped, the world laughed. President Trump retooled the entire battlefield. And so now NATO is locked and loaded. U.S. weapons they're rolling off the assembly lines. And here's the kicker. Europe is footing the bill, not the American taxpayer. And Putin, he's surrounded militarily, financially, diplomatically. And for the first time, he knows it. But the real shot, guys, this is what President Trump might do next. Will he unleash Russia's frozen $300 billion? Is he going to do that? Is he using the dollar to destroy Putin's empire from within? And here's the part that's really driving the global elites insane. The same dollar everyone said was dying just became President Trump's most powerful weapon. And if you think this is about Ukraine, think again. This is about control, currency, global dominance. And one man's not afraid to use it all. So stay right there, guys, because in the next couple minutes, I want to go ahead and break down President Trump's master plan, the economic ambush Putin just walked into, and why even America's allies are now scrambling, trying to keep up. We're going to look at this weapons deal. We're going to look at the NATO shift, the Iranian bounty, and of course, the trillion-dollar question. Is Trump saving America or playing a game that's too dangerous to win? So I want to go ahead and get into it because Putin just woke up inside the trap and now it's too late to run. Oh, if you appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you guys' support. All right. So just in case the media hasn't reminded you enough, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Joe Biden is gone. And the apologetic diplomacy, the blank stares, the behind closed doors dealings with adversaries, that whole era is over. So this is not Joe Biden's America anymore. Under President Trump, we're no longer reacting. We're setting the rules. No more endless foreign aid handouts with zero accountability. No more letting global powers run the table while America plays defense. Trump has made it painfully clear, especially to our enemies, we're not playing your game. We're building the board and you're the pieces. Now, I thought that was pretty epic. We're building the board and they are the pieces. They're the pawns. I love that. Guys, that, folks, is exactly what Putin just realized. Do you feel a little bit safer now that President Trump is calling the shots again? Stick with me, guys, because what you're about to hear will shock even those who follow this story very closely. Now, for the last 6 months, headlines screamed left and right that the U.S. dollar was collapsing. Mainstream economists, talking heads, global elites, they all declared the end of American financial dominance. But what if I told you that was the plan? You see, the so-called collapse wasn't economic failure. It was a trap, a strategic surgical maneuver led by Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessant, a man who isn't just playing Wall Street. He's playing war games with currency. Now, under Trump's directive, the dollar was intentionally devalued. Now, wait a second. Hang on. That might sound completely insane, but here's the truth that they will not tell you. A weaker dollar temporarily curbs inflation. It supercharges American exports and, most importantly, it disorients global adversaries, especially nations like Russia and China, who are holding dollar-based assets and relying on the greenback's perceived strength. You see, Putin saw a falling dollar and thought, America's weak. Ha. Yeah, sure. But what he didn't know was that President Trump wanted him to think that. This wasn't economic suicide. It was economic warfare. He baited, hooked, addressed, and then collapsed him. And Putin took the bait, okay? And the real genius behind this, as the dollar dipped, Trump ramped up domestic manufacturing, bringing weapons production roaring back to life without triggering inflation. And Trump collapsing the dollar or using it as bait, guys, you got to ask, what was he really doing here, right? Was he collapsing the dollar or was he using that as bait? And I would love to hear what you guys think about that in the comments. Is this brilliant patriotism or is it economic Russian roulette? Now, I'm going to leave that for you guys to decide, but you ain't even heard the half of it yet. Now, I will say this. If you're over 65 years old, I'm going to go ahead and tell you something about your Medicare rep. and your Medicare plan that your rep will not tell you. The plan that you're on might be draining your wallet and you wouldn't even know it. This is exactly what happened to Julie in Kansas. Her local broker pushed her into a plan that cost her more money just to see her doctor. Then, when she finally called Chapter, she ended up saving $400 a year. That's real money, guys, especially now, right? I mean, I partnered with Chapter because they don't play games. They work for you, not insurance companies. Give our friends at Chapter a call. Phone number is 909-563-8279, or go to their website at askchapter.org/Ron and let them show you what's possible. Oh, and look out for your parents too. If your parents are over 65, call for them. They will thank you later. So Vladimir Putin believed the headlines. He watched the dollar dip. He saw Biden's exit and thought Trump would walk back onto the stage, just way too distracted, too divided, and too broke to lead a serious counter. But here's what he didn't realize. While he was mocking America's economy, that wasn't a wise move. Russia was holding on to billions of dollar-denominated assets, cash, treasuries, reserves, and just like that, with the stroke of a pen, Trump flipped the table. Russia's access to those reserves, frozen, their global leverage, evaporating, their financial fortress, it's now a hostage of Trump's foreign policy. Putin believed the devaluation meant America was imploding. But what he missed was that Trump had been quietly shifting power behind the scenes. Think about it, guys, okay? While Russia was clinging on to cash, Trump was reorganizing NATO, reindustrializing America, and turning the illusion of weakness into a trap door, with Putin standing on top of it. So, did Putin fall for the biggest economic fake out in modern history? Because the way it looks now, well, President Trump didn't just devalue the dollar, he devalued Putin's position on the world stage. And just when you think it couldn't go further, I want to talk about the $300 billion bombshell. That is the amount of Russian money sitting in frozen accounts seized by the US and European allies during the early stages of the Ukraine conflict. So now here's the twist. Even the Biden administration wouldn't touch these funds. They claimed that it would be a step too far, legally, diplomatically, and morally. But President Trump, he's not playing checkers. Sources now confirm Trump has actively considering a plan to redirect those Russian assets, not just the interest, to fully fund Ukraine's military resistance. Weapons, ammunition, infrastructure, all paid for with Putin's own bank account. Now, it's not just talk. Senator Lindsey Graham, he is out front saying it's time to go after these seized assets more aggressively. NATO allies are starting to back the plan. So the question is this strategic justice or is it economic warfare that crossed the line? Because I want to be real with you guys. If America can seize and spend Russia's cash, what message does that send to every other country holding their reserves in US dollars? That is the tension, though. So, would you support Trump using Russia's money to fund the war? Or is that a line that's just way too far and we should not cross that? Because remember, Putin doesn't just lose his leverage. He may have just paid for his own humiliation. Now, if you're serious about staying ahead, I want you to grab my free breaking news email, okay? This is, guys, it's the filter for the noise. I left a pinned comment down below. It's right there. Click the link, breaking news, totally free, join the list. All right, so for decades, NATO has treated like it was treated like a subscription service. That's probably a good analogy, right? America has paid the bill and everybody else just enjoyed the protection. Like one Netflix membership or subscription service that America's paying for, and all these other countries get to watch under that same ID. But now that era is over. Trump stood in the Oval Office July 2025, not as a politician, but as a negotiator in chief, and he laid it out clearly and unapologetically. He said, we will manufacture the weapons. They will pay for them. Think about that. Let that sink in. The U.S. is not giving Ukraine weapons anymore. We're selling them. Wow, big game changer. Europe and Canada are paying, and Ukraine is still getting exactly what it needs to defend itself. So here's the kicker. American jobs are booming because of it. factories in places like Lima, Ohio. You've got, places like that, which were long ignored under previous administrations. They're now humming with defense contracts, production lines, and paychecks. President Trump took global conflict and turned it into a domestic manufacturing boom. And he did it while essentially ending the freeloading era of NATO. That was huge, guys. So the message to our allies was loud and clear. You want protection? You share the cost. So is Trump the first president to actually hold NATO accountable? Or, as his critics say, is he just offloading America's responsibility? Well, that's the kind of question that just kind of keeps the global elite sweating. But the real game changer is what Trump said next. Because President Trump is done begging for peace. He's now offering terms. And if Putin doesn't want to take the deal, then Ukraine's about to become the first heavily armed battlefield in modern European history. From the Oval Office to NATO briefings, the line has been drawn. If you want peace, take it. If you want war, we will arm Ukraine and Europe. Europe is going to pay for it. Now, think about that, guys. The United States, under President Trump, is not retreating. He is restructuring intelligently, powerfully, and unapologetically. And Putin, he is now caught. Negotiate or face a coordinated arms flood from both sides of the Atlantic. Either plan weakens him. Either outcome is going to cost him a lot of money. Now, Putin believed Trump was just too isolationist to step in. What he never saw coming was this. Trump found a way to strengthen Ukraine without draining the U.S. and without giving Putin a propaganda victory. So, is Trump pushing for peace through power or isolating global conflict? Or was this the plan all along? Let Putin get bold, let him get overextended, and then slam the door with NATO firepower and a collapsing currency. So, was this always Trump's endgame to lure Putin in and then slam the door shut? Well, just when you think that things could not escalate a little bit further, Iran enters the scene with a knife to the throat of international diplomacy. So reports confirm that Iran has issued a public fatwa, a religious death warrant against President Trump, with an estimated $40 million bounty tied to it. And they're not hiding it either. They've been crowdfunding the assassination attempt online. It's not just a threat, it's a campaign. And here's what the media won't remind you. Trump once held back Israel from completely dismantling Iran's regime. He showed restraint. He gave diplomacy a chance. And how did Iran respond? With a fatwa and a price on his head. Let that sink in, guys. Trump saved their leadership, and now they're hunting him in broad daylight. So this isn't just foreign policy. This is personal warfare. The man who stood in the gap is now being treated as the ultimate enemy by a terror-linked state. And still, Trump doesn't back down. So is this proof of Trump's strength, or has he made too many enemies? Because when Iran, Russia, and China are all aligned in their hatred, maybe they're not the problem. Maybe you're not the problem, right? So maybe you're the threat that they couldn't control, you see? So I want to circle back to what started this whole firestorm, the dollar. Now that we understand the trap, let's talk about the weapon. Under Trump, the dollar is not just currency, it's leverage. It's like a strategic pressure point. And it's being used like a scalpel and a sledgehammer all at once. By intentionally weakening the dollar, Trump slowed inflation, made American goods cheaper on the global market, pressured foreign governments to rethink their reliance on U.S. reserves. He triggered panic selling in BRICS nations and forced hostile actors to either back off or bleed out. But here's the gamble. If global confidence in the US dollar slips a little bit too far, if nations believe their dollar-based assets are not safe, if they start dumping treasuries, we don't just have a weapon, we have a financial earthquake. So the question is Trump using economic jujitsu, or is this the edge of the cliff closer than he admits? So also, is this brilliant patriotism or economic Russian roulette? So I will say this. It is bold, it's dangerous, and for now, it is working. But the final play, that's still coming. Because now the trap has just snapped shut. The US dollar has been weaponized. NATO is locked and loaded. The economy is tilted against Russia and Trump. He's holding the detonator. So now here we are. And for Vladimir Putin, the realization has landed like a missile. The economic stability that he hoped would destroy America, it was staged. The dollar he mocked as dying was already aimed at his front door. The NATO alliance he thought was fractured is now united and armed to the teeth with American weapons paid for by Europe. Ukraine, armed, supplied, and ready without the U.S. spending a dime. Russia's $300 billion in frozen reserves is on the edge of being redirected to fund the very war he tried to start. Even Iran's desperate move, a fatwa on Trump, only proves how cornered these regimes feel. This was never just a currency collapse. It was never just a weapons deal. It was a trap. And Putin walked right into it, step by step, while thinking he was watching America fall apart. But what he did not see was the hand on the switch, the hand of a strategic, patriotic, and relentless American president, Donald J. Trump, who does not fight wars the old way. He fights them economically, diplomatically, and when necessary, militarily. And so now the world is watching, and Russia's choking on its own arrogance. So now it's your turn, guys. Do you believe this was Trump's plan all along? Was this a masterclass in geopolitical warfare, or a strategy that was so bold that it's playing with fire? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Did Putin just fall into the biggest economic trap of the 21st century? And if you're proud to see America leading again, manufacturing our weapons and making allies pay their share and turning weakness into strength, I want you to drop a Trump trap in the comments. That way I know that you made it to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still thinks Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Because now Putin knows, NATO knows, and whether the world likes it or not, the trap just snapped shut. I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Be safe.